Welcome to the Memory and History channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In the soft light of a summer afternoon in the early 1900s, a group of women gathered by the lake, laughter rippling across the water. Beside them stood a shirtless young man, perhaps a brother, capturing a fleeting moment of innocence before time turned the page. In the rough gold rush town of Central City, Louisa Madame Lou Bunch ruled not with cruelty, but compassion. When an epidemic struck, she and her girls set aside profit to nurse dying miners, kindness blooming amid the grit and greed of the frontier. In the 1890s, young Benj Micken stood proudly in a suit far grander than his years. Lace, buttons, and careful stitching framing a boy who seemed to dream beyond his time. Elegance met innocence in that fleeting portrait of ambition. Two unidentified women from the 1890s stare softly through time, their faces calm yet unreadable. Unknown to history, they remain preserved in silence, a quiet echo of countless lives that passed without names, yet still left their gentle mark on eternity. Two ladies from the 1870s posed carefully before the camera, their stillness capturing an age of restraint and quiet grace. Beneath the lace and composure, you can almost sense the pulse of youth, brief, beautiful, and forever frozen in silver. In the 1890s, two ladies rode past on penny farthings, laughter tumbling through the air like sunlight. Their smiles defied the strict grace of their era, a fleeting rebellion of joy and motion captured forever on a quiet street. At 53, suffragette Frances Willard wobbled onto a bicycle for the first time, guided by friends and fueled by conviction. To her, it wasn't just balance she found, it was liberation. She called the bicycle a true machine of women's freedom. Between 1870 and 1872, life moved with quiet dignity, captured now within the McCord Stewart Museum's timeless gaze. Each artifact and photograph whispers of a world rebuilding, where progress and memory walked hand in hand through the dawn of modernity. In 1976, architect Joseph Louis Serret shaped Joan Miraux's studio in Palma de Mallorca, a sanctuary of light and silence. Within its white walls, art seemed to breathe, as Miraux's colors danced freely beneath the Mediterranean sun's eternal gaze. Leicester Square. 1938. The city glowed beneath neon lights and restless clouds. Crowds hurried past cinemas and posters of distant dreams, unaware that war's shadow was already gathering. It was London's last bright inhale before the darkness of history descended. In The Public Enemy, 1931, the rain falls like judgment, slick streets glistening under dim lamplight as gangsters vanish into the night. Each drop seems to mourn innocence lost, washing over a world hardened by crime, ambition, and regret. Victoria Station, London, 1934. Captured by Otto Bettmann, the scene hums with motion, steam curling above weary travelers, footsteps echoing through iron arches. In that fleeting moment, the station became a living heart of departures, reunions, and untold stories. In 1978, Soviet geologists stumbled upon the Lykov family, hidden deep within Siberia's wilderness. They had fled Stalin's terror in 1936, vanishing from civilization. For 42 years, they lived untouched by war, progress, or voices beyond the whispering trees. On Christmas Eve, 1948, Holocaust survivor Joseph Gutman embraced Master Sergeant William Best, the man who freed and later adopted him. In that moment, sorrow and salvation intertwined, proving that even after history's darkest night, humanity could still find light. In December 1956, a bomb squad carefully lifted a pipe bomb from the Times Square Paramount Theater, another strike by George Metesky, the Mad Bomber. For 17 years, his terror haunted New York's nights, testing courage beneath city lights. In 1915, the Endurance lay crushed in Antarctic ice, a fragile ship swallowed by a frozen world. Around her, Shackleton's men stood against despair, their courage flickering like a lantern in endless night, defying nature's silence and the promise of death. In 1939, Joe Arity sat smiling in Colorado's gas chamber, unaware of his fate. With the mind of a child, he spent his last night sharing toy trains, innocent to the cruelty around him. Decades later, the world finally said, sorry. On April 18, 1942, French legionnaires marched toward the Eastern Front, their uniforms heavy with dust and destiny. Bound for a frozen hell, they carried flags, rifles, and fading ideals. Soldiers caught between loyalty, survival, and the shifting tides of war. In the 1970s, deep within a Soviet shipyard, a Typhoon-class submarine took shape. Twin pressure hulls and missile silos rising like steel cathedrals. It was power forged in silence, a colossal shadow built to haunt the depths of the Cold War. In the 1930s, Polish banners declared, "We demand overseas colonies for Poland." During the Maritime and Colonial League's Propaganda Week, ambition clashed with reality. A young nation dreaming of empire, grasping for relevance in a world already carving itself apart. On September 17, 1939, as Soviet troops swept into western Belarus, villagers gathered to receive freshly printed newspapers. In their hands lay headlines of liberation and conquest, words masking the quiet dread of a world being rewritten overnight. Around 1930, young Stepan Bandera wore a scout's uniform, not yet the rebel leader history would remember. In his bright eyes flickered ideals soon hardened by conflict, a quiet boy standing on the edge of a nation's turbulent awakening. In 1968, 7-year-old George Clooney sat beside his family, unaware of the fame waiting decades ahead. The photo glows with small-town warmth. A boy's easy smile, a family's simple joy, and the quiet beginnings of a Hollywood legend. In November 1942, on the battered shores of Guadalcanal, native islanders stood proudly beside captured Japanese weapons and flags. Their victory smiles told a quiet story of resilience, courage, and the unyielding spirit of those who endured war's cruel tide. A Crusader tank of Australia's 9th Division Cavalry Regiment rumbled across the desert, sun glinting off its steel armor. Within its turret sat determination itself. Men driving forward through dust and danger, carving their chapter into the long story of war. In 1942, on the desolate Olonets Isthmus, a Finnish soldier stood over the bodies of executed Red Army prisoners. The snow was silent, the air heavy with finality. War's cold truth laid bare beneath an indifferent sky. On Leyte, a US M7 Priest thundered from the hillside, its 105 howitzers spitting fire toward Catman Hill. Each shell carved the humid air with fury, faith and steel intertwined in the desperate push to reclaim the Pacific. On October 20th, 1944, General Douglas MacArthur waded ashore at Red Beach, Leyte, beside Philippine President Sergio Osmeña and his staff. Cameras clicked as prophecy met reality. The long-promised return fulfilled amid smoke, salt water, and the thunder of liberation. Soviet collective farmers stood proudly beside the KV-1S tanks they had funded and built, handing them over to frontline crews. In their calloused hands and weary smiles burned quiet defiance. Ordinary people fueling an iron will to resist invasion. In 1942, deep within the Eastern Front, German infantry of Army Group Center crouched behind an MG-34. Smoke curled from frozen fields as they waited in tense silence, shadows in a vast, relentless machine of war. In 1941, the Warsaw Ghetto bore a silent horror, a heap of men, women, and children claimed by hunger and disease. Faces once filled with life now frozen in despair, a chilling testament to the cruelty of human neglect. In November 1944, Hungarian troops braced a 7.5 mm Pak 40 anti-tank gun in a bombed Budapest suburb. Smoke and rubble framed their tense vigil, as steel and resolve stood between them and the relentless advance of war. In November 1944, a German Panther tank rumbled through the snow-covered streets of Godop. Steel met frost as it carved a path through shattered buildings, a formidable shadow of war moving relentlessly through a landscape scarred by conflict. In February 1945, Allied bombs reduced Dresden to ruins. 14 months later, the bodies of German civilians were discovered in a shelter, a haunting reminder of war's indiscriminate cruelty, where shelter became tomb and silence whispered stories of sudden death. In 1939, Polish negotiators stood before the German command at Modlin Fortress, surrendering what they could no longer defend. Stone walls and proud banners bore witness to a nation's courage, bowed but unbroken, as history shifted under the shadow of invasion. On March 26, 1945, U.S. soldiers stormed Talisay Beach on Cebu Island, boots sinking into sand under gunfire and smoke. Courage and chaos intertwined as each step carried the weight of liberation, sacrifice, and the relentless push toward the heart of war. Near Limburg, under Lahn, Germany, a memorial to the Battle of Stalingrad stands, erected in 1964 by the Bund ehemaliger Stalingradkämpfer. At its ceremony, veterans gathered, their silence heavy with memory, mourning the fallen while bearing witness to history's brutal cost. In 1943, over Toulon, France, a B-26 Marauder faltered as anti-aircraft fire tore through the sky. One engine died, smoke trailing behind, yet the bomber pressed on, a testament to steel, courage, and the relentless resolve of its crew above war's fury. On December 15, 1944, a captured German Tiger II, repaired by the U.S. 129th Ordnance Battalion, rumbled through Gerionsweiler. Enemy steel repurposed, it carried both history and irony. A monstrous machine turned ally amid the chaos of war's final winter. In July 1941, a Lithuanian Nazi policeman stood over a group of Jewish prisoners, faces etched with fear and despair. The photograph freezes a moment of cruelty, a stark reminder of humanity's darkest impulses and the innocent lives caught in its grip. In 1942, Ustashi soldiers marched Serbian women and children toward the gates of Jasenovac. Fear and sorrow filled each step, innocence shadowed by brutality, as the world bore witness to one of history's most harrowing displays of cruelty and human suffering. In 1945, Czech partisans rose against 1,000 Estonian SS troops, exacting a fierce, desperate justice in the final throes of war. Amid smoke and ruin, vengeance and liberation intertwined. A stark, violent echo of Europe's shattered, bloodied landscape. In August 1944, members of Azerbaijan's Field Battalion 111 participated in the Wola massacre during the Warsaw Uprising. Their presence marked brutality amid rebellion, as smoke and sorrow engulfed the streets, leaving an indelible scar on a city fighting desperately for survival. On December 20th, 1943, men of the 11th Battalion, Royal Scots Fusiliers, charged with fixed bayonets through simulated artillery fire at a Scottish battle school. Training and courage merged as steel met imagination, forging soldiers ready for the realities of war. On December 20th, 1943, the 11th Battalion of the Royal Scots Fusiliers surged forward with fixed bayonets through simulated artillery fire at a Scottish battle school. Dust, shouts, and determination filled the air, a rehearsal of courage before the battlefield. On February 22, 1945, an American P-51 Mustang came to rest in Shawn, Liechtenstein, smoke curling from its battered fuselage. Silent hills bore witness to the pilot's narrow escape, a fragile victory amid the final furious months of a world at war. In 1944, Hungarian soldiers trudged through the rugged Carpathian Mountains, snow crunching beneath their boots. Fog and frost clung to rifles and uniforms, while every step echoed the harsh reality of war, waged amid unyielding peaks and frozen silence. In 1944, Italian soldiers of the National Republican Army braced amid the chaos of the Battle of Anzio near Nettuno. Smoke, mud, and gunfire enveloped them, as duty and desperation intertwined on a coastline scarred by relentless conflict. At Tiran Air Base, a Japanese kamikaze pilot clasped a kite, a fragile talisman of hope and honor before launching into certain death. The sky awaited, indifferent as courage, ritual, and sacrifice intertwined in a fleeting, haunting farewell to life. On November 1st, 1942, U.S. 5th Marines carried wounded comrades across Guadalcanal's unforgiving terrain. Smoke, gunfire, and sweat blurred together, yet each step bore courage and brotherhood, a solemn testament to survival and sacrifice amid the island's relentless battle. The German Borgward B, a self-propelled mine carrier, sat ready in the shadows of war. Steel and ingenuity combined in a deadly purpose, a silent predator designed to move, strike, and vanish, a hidden menace in the machinery of conflict. In 1943, Thai FIAP Army soldiers, clad in Adrian helmets, maneuvered heavy artillery through Burma's dense jungles. Sweat, mud, and determination weighed on every step, as men in steel pressed forward together through the unforgiving heat of war. In 1942, under German supervision, members of the Ukrainian auxiliary police donned white armbands as they prepared to execute Jews in Chernigov. Fear, coercion, and cruelty converged in that grim moment. A stark testament to the horrors inflicted upon the innocent. In 1941, a Messerschmitt Bf 109 flew steady alongside a Junkers Ju 87, escorting the dive bomber through skies alight with conflict. Steel, speed, and precision carved through the clouds, carrying pilots into the vast theater of war below. In January 1942, Hungarian soldiers stood amid the lifeless bodies of civilians, mostly Jews and Serbs, in Novi Sad's Futoshka Street barracks. Silence and horror clung to the air, a grim reminder of brutality inflicted upon the innocent. On February 29, 1940, men of B Company, 1st Battalion Royal Irish Fusiliers, dug trenches in Nomain, France. Shovels bit into frozen earth as discipline and endurance shaped every movement, preparing them for the storm of war looming just beyond the horizon. On July 12-13, 1945, a patrol from the 1st Battalion, Queen's Own Royal Regiment, crossed a Burmese paddy field where a local tiller guided oxen through waterlogged earth. Amid war's chaos, life's quiet persistence endured beneath the tropical sun. On September 7, 1945, Soviet IS-3 heavy tanks rumbled down Berlin's Charlottenburger Chaussee during the victory parade. Steel giants marched through shattered streets, their shadows echoing both triumph and devastation, as the world bore witness to the immense cost of victory. On February 28, 1942, commandos in Scotland practiced crossing barbed wire with precision and focus. Each movement was drilled, swift, and deliberate. Preparation for the deadly challenges ahead, where skill and courage would mean the difference between life and death. In 1942, Soviet soldiers moved forward alongside T-34 tanks near Bryansk, mud and smoke clinging to boots and treads. Determination carved through chaos as men and machines pressed against the enemy, a relentless push amid the unforgiving Eastern Front. On May 7, 1942, captured Vichy French troops trudged away from their headquarters after the British seized Diego Suarez, Madagascar. Dust rose beneath weary boots, defeat and resignation etched on faces, as the island's tides of war silently shifted beneath a tropical sun. On June 4, 1942, the USS Yorktown shuddered as a Japanese torpedo struck, steel groaning and fire erupting across the deck. Sailors clung to duty amid chaos, each heartbeat a fragile thread in the furious tapestry of the Battle of Midway. On April 27, 1943, a 3.7-inch anti-aircraft gun of 264 battery, 58th Heavy Anti-Aircraft Regiment, Royal Artillery roared across Tunisia's Mejez El Bab sector. Steel and smoke carved arcs of fire as men and artillery held the line against an unforgiving desert sky. On April 23, 1943, a 10th Hussars Sherman tank rumbled across the Goublay Plain during Operation Vulcan, passing the wreckage of a knocked-out 88mm gun. Dust, smoke, and steel marked the battlefield, where momentum and courage carved a path through chaos. A Soviet infantrymen marched German prisoners of war from Königsberg into captivity, their faces a mix of defeat and fear. Winter air bit at uniforms as silence and resignation hung over the scene, a stark testament to the cost of conflict. On April 9, 1945, Königsberg's streets erupted in chaos as soldiers fought house to house. Smoke, rubble, and gunfire filled every alley, turning the city into a labyrinth of peril where courage and survival collided amid the final throes of war. In 1945, as war's shadow lingered over Germany, young Germans found a fleeting moment of peace on a riverbank. Laughter and quiet companionship flowed alongside the current, a brief oasis of normalcy amid a world fractured by conflict.